Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. Today, I've got something special for you. This is Blue Reflection, a magical girl RPG by Gus, who you may know as the people who brought you the Atelier series. Like the Atelier series, it's kind of a little mid-budget RPG. You're gonna see some gorgeous art here, but maybe not quite the polish that you might get from a big budget title put out by an Atlas or an NIS, for instance. Um, this game is a little bit more chill than that. We're gonna take a stroll around, explore this school before we get started, and just kind of take in the light and the scenery. This game just kind of has a very relaxing soundtrack and a kind of gorgeous pastel color palette that I really love. It's a very soft game. So let's just run around the school for a little bit. Before we get started, I wanted to talk a little bit about building a community and kind of the ridiculous increases in attention that this channel and I guess myself have kind of got thanks to Chris Franklin and his shout out on Aaron Signal. And just, you can give, if you are one of those bigger channels, if you've got kind of a voice, or even if you're just a smaller channel, or just somebody who's got a social media account, honestly, you can really give a lot of support to small channels and stuff like that and really help bring attention to them. You can make the case. It's really hard to get somebody to watch anything you do on the internet. We all know there's a million things competing for attention, and if there's something that you like, share it with the people that you care about. With that, I'd just like to say shout out to a couple other small creators out there doing good work. Shout out to Jackson and M over at Abnormal Mapping, who run the best games podcast, the best Gundam podcast, and frankly, probably the best anime podcast in general. I'd like to say shout out to Notable Releases, who every week come back from the hundreds of games that are on Steam with a bunch of good ones to check out. Shout out to Umbrella Terms, who does small who just finds the smallest, most interesting, and otherwise untalked about and underappreciated games from every corner of the internet, and he brings the most concise and beautifully narrated videos that I've ever heard. Shout out to Hazel, aka Twinkle Parks, online musical artist and video producer. She's recently put out some good videos about queerness and horror and anime and kind of navigating imperfect media while relating a lot to it and finding yourself in it and kind of the value in it and appreciating these imperfect works for what they do bring. Really appreciated that as somebody who, finds it a little difficult to deal with a lot of the ways that people talk about things online. Shout out to my friend Curly, aka the Dark Content Researcher, Real Job, aka the foremost Ape Escape communist theory scholar. You'll figure out what I mean if you check out their channel. And shout out to all the peeps at deorbital.media and clicklist.com who have stuck with me for years, written for me, who I've had the pleasure to work with, and have made great stories alongside me. Y'all doing great work, and I hope y'all continue to do great work. I know that was like 5 minutes of shoutouts, but look, you gotta appreciate the people who help bring you here. And on that note, before we get started, shoutouts to every patron who supported me on Patreon for months, for years at this point, honestly. Honestly, y'all incredible. Even if you are giving me a single dollar a month, I appreciate it, because that's another person I know who appreciates the things that I do and looks forward to these. And you know, I hope I've given you at least something enjoyable, or given you a new viewpoint, or brought your attention to something that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. Back to the game here. This is Hinako. This is our main character. She's a ballet dancer. And this red-haired girl, that's her friend over there. I think you can kind of get an idea of their relationship right here. They're having a little moment. Hinako's having a kind of difficult year, and coming back to school is not been great. But we're gonna see the little wrinkle in her story here in a little bit. Honestly, some of the performances in this game are legit. You know, I mean, it's a very anime style, tropey story. But the performances they put in do a lot of work, bring a lot of emotion to what are pretty limited scenes as far as animation. So as you're seeing here, Sarasa's going a little rampant, you might say. Yeah, that's how the game describes it. And we're gonna go off to the common, you know, the collective unconscious, if you will, and try to stabilize her mood a little bit before she gets a little out of control. And here we are. So a thing I really love about this game is the particular abstract designs of the enemies and of the common, this other world that they're in. There's some really striking designs and use of color here. The dungeons themselves are really, really repetitive and empty. Nothing particularly interesting in them. You usually just fight a couple things, get to the point, and then move on. But the battle system itself, at least, is pretty interesting, which we'll see that in a second. And the battle music is fucking incredible. Okay, yeah, these are fragments, you know. Just a lot of JRPG jargon. Yep, So let's go around. I'm not crazy about the design of their costumes. I think they're kind of tacky, but you know, they do the work. And here we are. So, just in case you're wondering, if you see any performance drops, that's just the game. It's not, unfortunately not a incredibly consistent game, but you know, it's a turn-based RPG, so luckily it doesn't really matter. And so the way that this combat works is everything character operates on a timeline. You can do a couple of attacks that'll knock them back onto the timeline, and with enough hits you can get another character to set up in order to you can get another character set up to move before an enemy. If you see here, the different moves that you can do will send you back on top of that timeline over there, back and forth. And you can kind of hover over the moves and to kind of scrub the characters back and forth. Usually if you spend some of your mana here, it'll move you a little bit closer to the line since you won't do as much damage. Depends on the move, really. So you can kind of see we've kind of just successfully stopped those other two enemies from even getting a hit in, and now we can just kind of line up and take them down. I kind of wanted to play this just because, one, I think it's a cool game that a lot of people might appreciate and might not know about. And second of all, I think it's you know, like a lot of games and stories of this type, it's very much about building a community and building friendships and relationships and using that unified strength to take on stronger forces. And you know, I've just been thinking a lot about building communities. Recently started a Discord for Clickless, which is a game review site that we've run for, me and RJ have run for like maybe 5 years or so. It's been a pretty long time. We don't have a comment section or anything since that got kind of messy and difficult to implement, and generally doesn't feel worth it. But there's been a steady readership of the site that we kind of never really got to interact with, so we figured, hey, Discord's a thing, we'll make one of those. We'll see who shows up and hopefully build a community that we can kind of interact with and, you know, show our stuff with and talk about the games that we're reviewing and playing directly. So far it's been pretty good. I'm glad we did it. I'm glad the people who showed up there showed up. I was a little nervous that we might have some kind of aggressive or insensitive people, just because the game's being what it is, that tends to happen. But they've all been pretty fantastic, honestly. And if any of y'all are listening, thanks for keeping it real and thanks for making it a fun place for everybody else too. Appreciate y'all. And in general, I've just been kind of... I'm not somebody who has a massive audience or anything like that. I don't have thousands of followers or anything like that. And as much as I'd like to have a big audience that would continually engage with my stuff, I'm slowly trying to come to terms, at least, with the fact that the things that I want to do, the things that I want to talk about and cover, are going to be things for a smaller audience. And I'd rather have a smaller, engaged audience that cares about the stuff I do and lets me talk and think about stuff the way I always have and kind of prefer to, but rather than you know, play the algorithm or you know, do the whole song and dance to kind of continually try to build an audience that might just be there because they clicked on a video or saw a funny tweet I made or something like that. I'd rather have people who've come here and like what I do and like my specific approach. Not to say that I can't improve this, but I prefer to have this be a casual thing that I don't want to make into a second job or anything, right? I enjoy making these, I enjoy seeing people enjoy them. And I enjoy when people come to me and tell me, hey, this was a cool video you did, or this is a cool thing that you wrote, and it made me think about something in a new way. You know, that's the stuff that I want to do. And then it's nice to also get the feedback that does the same thing for me, right? It gives me a different perspective from somebody else and lets me think about it in a new way. And you know, that's hard to do on the platforms as they exist. Social media, and which I consider YouTube to be a social media platform, is very polarizing by its nature. It takes in binary results and spits them out in binary ways and tries to move you to very particular extremes so it can categorize you and sell you shit, right? So it's hard to operate with any nuance and kind of expect to be understood. And I've had a lot of bad experiences with things blowing up previously. Like, I've definitely had to disable comments a lot, and a lot of people have asked me why I've disabled comments. And it is because some people have made it I mean, you've read the comments on the internet, right? People who don't agree with you, people who don't like the thing that you do, are they need to let you know. And you know, sometimes it's warranted, and sometimes there are ways that people express themselves that I do not appreciate. And thankfully, with this channel getting a little bigger and people coming to my work, it's been a little bit better recently. I fully expect to put out videos in the future that will have the exact same reaction. You know, I fully expect to put out a video that I have to disable comments on and have every other video bombarded with comments with hateful comments because they can't comment on the one that they want to comment on, which has happened before. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the people who have showed up. I'm gonna try to take a little bit lighter hand in moderating, you know, what are basically communities. Then, you know, Twitter ends up kind of being your community. YouTube is a community that you kind of control. Discord, absolutely gonna need to moderate something at some point. But for now, you know, I think at least the vibe we're building is strong, and I'm glad that after so many years kind of avoiding that contact, that I've been able to open it up a little bit again. Hopefully it's not a mistake, you know. You always worry about things like that. But so far I'm pretty happy where it's gone. And I'm happy to talk to people about the things that I care about. And, you know, talk about weird things that I thought nobody cared about. Like just today, I had someone ask about a bunch of niche shoot 'em ups in the Discord. Somebody that I've talked to a lot, to be clear. But yeah, have some niche shoot 'em ups and say, hey, yeah, I played those. I got reviews of those up already. And I have other people in the Discord also kind of weigh in on those games, because, you know, when you play niche things, the audiences tend to be small. And yeah, a lot of small niche audiences can get kind of aggressive about the things they like and don't like. So I kind of appreciate just having a kind of chill space to talk about these things with people. Like, honestly, I hope somebody sees this video. I hope somebody plays Blue Reflection and also comes back getting something out of it. I'm not sure how exactly I'm gonna keep working on stuff like this. I'm not really sure about what format this stuff is gonna take. I know a lot of online personalities and stuff like to lean into the kind of direct connection with their fans or whatever, and like speak directly to them. But honestly, this shit is always gonna have a barrier. And ultimately, I don't think it's a great form of communication. Like, these are just videos of me monologuing about shit I care about, right? And then you can have your response to it, and I can reply to that response, but they're ultimately pretty self-indulgent. And I'm just putting them out there hoping that other people will get something out of them like I do. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say on that subject again, but I would like to say that this shit here is fucking spectacular. Like, this game is not very polished. This game definitely has a budget limit, but the things they do with their art direction, their color, and the resources they do have, sometimes they are really, really good. So yeah, let's fuck this Sephiroth up, you know, and true to the theme of building a community here. Here are some of Hinako's schoolmates who we've previously created a connection with, and as we'll explain in a second, Everybody has a little ring that has allowed them to move while the whole world has frozen and these monsters from the dark subconscious have come to wreak havoc on this world. Let's skip this dialogue a little bit. I mean, and this music, the fucking soundtrack to this game. Honestly, this game came out maybe what 2-3 years ago at this point, and I've been listening to the soundtrack since then. I have absolutely, definitely 100% not played very far into this game, but I have definitely listened to this soundtrack for hours, probably more hours than I've actually played. There's just like mix of electronica and piano music and fucking dubstep that goes from like soothing, calm music to like near dance track level of energy. Like this is the fucking anime friendship nonsense that I fucking love about magical girl shows. I love it. The power of all feelings. Yeah, let's do it. Let's put it all together. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy this for a second. Sorry. I mean, hopefully this was enough to keep you to stick around, but look, I mean, oh, let's do this shit. Look at this is so hype. This is the beginning of the game, if you're wondering. This is like chapter 3. Oh yeah, here we go. We get our overdrives. Alright, let's hope we play this well and not get my ass kicked. Oh, yes. Alright, let's go. Alright, first of all, let's go save this. I just want to say, I love the way that they formatted the text for new save data. Let's go to these fucking gorgeous menus. We're just gonna increase these. No, you know what? We're gonna switch this one out. Where's this? there's some weird stuff with that specific thing. Let's go. Let's do this. No, that's not where I'm supposed to go, right? Right. I know, I think I need to just go down to the field. Let's just skip right to it. There we go. God, this game's so fucking hype. Oof, what is this? That is big damage. Alright. Okay, so we got a couple things here. I think the first move is just gotta be straight up trying to make this thing back off. We're gonna spend a lot of energy pushing it back. We probably have to build it up again later. Oh, overdrive's not built yet. Okay. This is basically at that point we're not going to be able to stop it, so we're just going to go for the straight damage. Look at this fucking thing. Look at the design of this thing. And the little embers coming off of it. Oh shit. Okay. I forgot about this part. Now it's got separate parts. Okay. I think I'm just gonna go straight damage on this one. Oof. Okay, which one's coming up? This one? Burn that thing. Where is it? Impact damage around. I'm gonna go for this one right here. Yep, okay. Nothing's knocked down for now. Oh, I didn't stop that one. Okay. Mana's getting low. I haven't taken much damage quite yet. Just gonna have to go in. Man, when the music comes in like that, that part's not that strong. Okay, I'm definitely gonna have to go. No, ether charge. Where am I? I'm just not having enough energy. I want to get enough MP so I can go to overdrive. Let's do it. Set overdrive count 1. Right, you can't use the same. Alright. Let me try to push this thing back. I should have used that move first. I forgot about the strategy part about that. I might get rough around here. That was barely anything. This is fairly early on in the game. I have not quite built them out to their roles. So now all these parts are gonna get the attacks on me. Thankfully the big one's not got. Oh, knockback. Okay, that did quite a bit of damage. Let's go. Yeah, that's the one. That's the core. There you go. It's like watching just one really good episode of anime. This boss fight. Presumably there's a lot more of these. I mean, that's kind of an anticlimax way to end that, but you know, that's the first boss. But yeah, that's been Blue Reflection. Thanks for hanging around while I kind of ranted to myself. I know that's what this series is, but I always appreciate people who listen, because anybody who would take the time to listen to me rant for 40 minutes Your time is valuable, and I'm glad you spent it here. They're just gonna be talking about the mechanics of this reflector shit and all the different rules about magical girl stuff. So I'm gonna cut it here. Thanks again. I'll be back with some more new things. Until then, peace.